Welcome back to AM Northwest. You know, if one of your goals this year is to get a new job, there's something you need to do before you update your resume. Here to share why it all starts with a mission statement, we welcome back personal branding expert Carol Parker-Walsh. Good to see you again.
Good to see you too.
So you believe it's important to have your own brand?
Yeah, absolutely. And part of it's often neglected in your career. You have to have your career management, which is part of your brand management.
Right.
And the reason you do that is because in this marketplace is highly competitive because of the information that's out there.
Right.
So you have to manage your own message and your identity to make sure that people are taking you in the way you want to be taken in.
Explain what your brand is.
Your brand really is your personal messaging. It really is your identity, is who you are and what you represent. And so you want to manage that messaging as much as possible so that you stand out and above the crowd. Most people focus entirely on their skills and building their resume, but they forget that people want to know who you are. They want to know what you're about. They want to know your value system. They want to know what you stand for, and that's what your brand message is.
Give me an example of a brand message.
Well, for example, your mission statement, is one of the first things that I say you should create when you're creating your brand. It would be something around who you are and what you service. Most people start and lead with this idea that they just say, well, I'm an attorney, or I'm a doctor, or I am an engineer, or I'm a teacher, or whatever, but they don't really speak about who they are and who they service and the contribution that they can make to the industry or to the client or to the profession. And all of that is encompassed in really supporting your brand.
Okay, so give me an example though. So let's say you brought up an attorney. What would their mission statement be?
Well, they're all individually developed, right? So it depends on who you are. So for example, my mission statement would be that I help successful career professionals transition out of a position that they no longer love, right? They've climbed the ladder of success and they realize it's not the ladder that they want to climb on, so they want to go into a different profession. So it speaks more to just, I do consulting, right?
I see.
But it says what I do, who I service, and how I service them. And so that would be an example of a branded message and a branded statement.
You say it's important to think about blogging.
Yeah, blogging is important because it allows you to be considered a thought leader in your field. So when you're contributing, and I tell people either start your blog or guest blog or write articles on LinkedIn or to maybe your local journal, your business journal, so that you are contributing to your field, you're contributing to the conversation in your industry.
Right.
And so if a potential employer or a colleague or a client is looking to work with you, then they could see you as someone who actually has put some thought and actually makes a contribution to advancing the field or to the conversations that are happening in your industry or field.
Oh, now what if the person isn't really good about expounding on, writing on a blog?
Well, they can also do, with this social media in the day and age that we have with video, you can also do Facebook Lives, or you can do a quick little video, you can do a lot of other ways as opposed to writing to be able to speak about that. But blogging or getting your ideas out there is part of your brand. Remember, it's all about your messaging and your identity. So when people are looking for you, if they want to advance your career, if you want to get promoted, and actually a lot of managerial levels who are going to the C-suite do a lot of blogging because they want to be seen as someone who actually can make a contribution. And that's what people are looking for, is to see what are your thoughts, what are your things that you can contribute to a particular job or career or even to a profession, to be able to say that you are an expert in that area.
What do you think about LinkedIn? You mentioned LinkedIn just briefly.
Yes, well, for people who are, a lot of recruiters nowadays, 94% of them actually go to LinkedIn to source their candidates, and actually 65% go to Facebook. And you even think about, in terms of your digital footprint is really,
An employer
really important.
goes to Facebook?
Yeah, a hiring employee will go to Facebook, about 65% of them. And the reason you think about it, most of the times when people meet you, they may or may not go to your website, but they will check you out on Facebook.
Yeah, right. I do that all the time.
Exactly. And people go to Facebook because that's usually where you're real and authentic.
Right.
And so if I want to really get to know you, that's where I'm going to go. So that's why it's so important to manage your social and your digital footprint and the social media and how you're seen. It's all part of your messaging. It's all part of your branding in terms of how you're showing up, because what's out there is going to be a reflection of who you are and what you can contribute, and maybe even how you'll work in a particular situation and how you may engage with a client. So you really want to make sure, and LinkedIn in terms of employer and career management, that's really the place that people go. But they will go to Facebook because people will make their LinkedIn profile very professional and they'll show up on Facebook very differently.
Right. Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah. So let's say you're like, I don't really know my mission statement, and would it help to have someone who is a friend of yours kind of give you some ideas? Because sometimes we can't really see who we are.
That's exactly right. And that's why I believe in having a brand audit, right?
Okay.
So that's one of the things that I do with my clients. It lets you do almost like a 360 degree. So I think it's important to ask other people how they see you.
Right.
Not just your friends, though, because they may be a little
Right.
bit biased and not tell you the truth.
Right.
But I think if you asked a circle of people, colleagues that you work with, friends that you work with, past employers that maybe you've worked with who you've had some relationship with, that you can just ask their impression of you, it'll give you this kind of 360 degree feedback in terms of how they do see you and how you are projecting yourself. But if you can have someone do a brand audit, it's one of the things I do for my clients, is just to look you up on social. Honestly, one of the easiest things that you can do is to Google yourself and see what pops up. And then that gives you a nice impression of how you're being seen out there if people were to put, look up your name.
Yeah.
But to get that other feedback really makes a big difference. And just to make sure that you're showing up in a way that's authentic, that represents who you are, and that sends the message that you want to send out in the world.
Carol, good stuff. Thank you very much.